Hey everyone, this is Renee Frey from Talent Q, and you're listening to the Conscious Professional Podcast. More people than ever want to be happy in their career and personal life, but they're going about it all wrong. I'm here to set the record straight and emphasize the importance of prioritizing your mindset. I'm thrilled you're here. We could all use a little more patience in your life, right? Well, you want to know something that needs the most patience, maybe ever? Action taking. Yep, I said it. Action taking needs the most patience because every single day you'll be hit with obstacles and hoops you have to jump through to achieve a goal of yours. If you're like, whoa, hold on, Renee, rewind. What do you mean? Let me fill you in on what I'm talking about. Have you ever had a goal, one that was far out in the future, like 5 years out or more? Well, I had a goal, and my goal was 7 years out, which felt like an eternity at times. And I'm happy to say that in the end, I did achieve my goal. Do you know how much patience I had to have? Now, the goal I'm talking about is starting my business, Talent Q. So I'm going to take you on a journey way back to 2004. I was working at a company called Agilon. It was a third-party recruiting firm. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. I was leading 2 teams of recruiters, one in St. Paul, one in Bloomington, and I was what you'd call a working manager. You know, working managers are the ones who still do the work while leading teams. So I was able to interface with clients and still recruit candidates, and it was the perfect role for me. I was able to soar with all of my strengths, teach and mentor junior recruiters. It was a blast. Now, Agilon was the third recruiting firm that I had worked for. Yes, I was a job hopper in the beginning of my career, which nowadays is normal, but back in 2004, it wasn't. I'd stay at a company for about 2 years, and I would make career changes to keep advancing in my career. And at this time, I had now seen how 3 other recruiting firms operated. And Agilon by far was the best in my eyes. They had the best training program, the best leadership team in place, and roughly 2 years in, the leadership team had started to change. The company had started heading in a different direction. When this happened, there were a lot of different changes that were being made. And I had no longer aligned with where the company was headed. And that's when I got the grand idea that I should start my own recruiting company. I knew I had what it took to be successful. I have integrity, tenacity, loads of grit. My whole life I've had an entrepreneurial spirit. I watched my dad run 3 companies that he owned. I'm a total visionary. I've got a ton of ideas. I'm super motivated. I'm driven. I strive for excellence in everything that I do. I had complete faith and confidence in myself that I could start my own company and be successful. As I thought about starting a recruiting firm, I came to the realization that recruiting firms are a dime a dozen. So the question that popped up in my mind was, how the hell will I set myself apart from all the other thousands of recruiting firms in the Twin Cities? How would I be able to set myself apart from the competition? This was the first question that popped into my mind. Not, how do you start a company, Renee? You think that would have been the first question I would have had? Nope. So many of us get stuck in the how. One of my favorite phrases that I'd like to share with you when you set a goal or you have a vision you'd like to achieve is F the how for now. The answer I came up with to how I could set myself apart from the competition was that I needed to work at a corporation in recruiting to get experience. Because in my profession, there's an old saying that says, recruiters go to corporate to die. And we don't actually go to corporate to die. But what that saying means is once a headhunter went to work for a corporation and became a corporate recruiter, they never bounced back out and went back into a third-party recruiting company. They just stayed comfy at their corporate recruiting job or switched to a different company in the same function of corporate recruiting. The reason why is back in the day, most headhunters were paid 100% commission and zero salary. But corporate recruiting jobs paid you a salary. While I was working at Agilon, before all the leadership changes came about, one of my friends from my first recruiting company that I worked at, Kathleen, gave me a call. She was actually working at Target Corporation and was hiring recruiters for them. And she said, Renee, you'd be an awesome fit here. Are you interested? At that time, I explained to her, although I wasn't interested at the time, I knew a few people that would be interested. So I referred a couple of my colleagues because we were all in the same boat with this change in leadership, the change in the company direction, and the change of vision at our company. So clearly, a bunch of us were frustrated. And I had trusted relationships with my colleagues, so I knew who would be open to hearing about the opportunity at Target. And I gave Kathleen their names. Both of the people I referred to her ended up going to work for Target. So then when I was finally ready, I think it was about 6 months after those two had left, I had to call my friends at Target and be like, hey guys, I'm ready to come over to Target. And I did. I interviewed and I got the job. Woohoo! So I get to Target Corporation. Mind you, the past 5 years of my experience was in accounting and finance recruiting. That's all I did for those 5 years. And I was joining Target as an information technology recruiter. They put me in their division to support their technology group. And I had never recruited for technology ever. I was really open to learning anything because I was there to broaden my skills and set myself apart so I could start my own company, right? My initial strategy was to stay at Target for 5 years, but it ended up being 7. Sometimes circumstances pop up and you have to pivot or extend your desired goal. It's so important to be flexible. Your desires will manifest if you truly believe them and have continuous action towards them. In reality, when we achieve our goals, that feeling that we feel is so temporary. It's almost fleeting. We pop a bottle of champagne, we have a celebratory dinner with those we love, then we go back on our merry way back to our lives. What matters most is the growth along the way that we've had. Everything we've learned, everything we've had to endure, who we have become along the journey. Those emotions and characteristics are so much more lasting than just achieving a goal and getting to that finish line. How many times have you achieved a goal and once you hit it, you were saying to yourself, that's it? I know you have because I have too. We have all these grandiose expectations of goal achieving and how we're going to feel when it's done. And those expectations are illusions made up in our minds. The real magic is if you can take how you think you will feel when you achieve that goal and live in those emotions every single day now. Feel them in your body. Visualize it. That is pure magic. My experience at Target was phenomenal. I got to recruit for every single department that they had at the headquarters. When I worked there were 14 different departments at headquarters: technology, merchandising, sourcing, supply chain, finance, HR, legal, marketing, you name it. I touched all of them. I also recruited for distribution leadership in the field and store leadership positions in the field. I saw that whole company 360 degrees around. Knowing I had this long-term goal of starting a company when I had joined Target, I was on a mission to learn everything I could from working there. Learn what it was like to be on the corporate side of hiring, so that when I started my company, I could pop out and have a complete edge. So around 2011, 2012 is when I really started to formulate my business plan and get it together. This involved research, finding resources, figuring out what needed to be in a business plan, talk to people who had started their own businesses, and figure out what I needed to do to be ready. Think of me like a gardener. I had to take the action and plant the seeds in the garden. It required selecting the right seeds, preparing the soil, and diligently planting each seed with care and intention. This represents the initial effort, planning, and execution needed to start my business. As I planted the seeds over several years, I had to have patience. The patience to tend to the garden as the seeds grew, which involved watering the plants regularly, protecting them from pests, allowing time for those seeds to sprout and grow and eventually bloom. And this symbolizes the enduring commitment, care, and waiting required to see the results of my efforts. Just as a gardener can't force the plants to grow faster, it's got to trust in the natural process and timing of achieving goals. Requires both proactive effort and the patience to see things through to fruition. And I did exactly that. Even though I just had my second daughter, Elena, I never lost steam. My husband, who is my best friend and my biggest cheerleader, he is the most wonderful person on the planet. And when you're married, you call yourself a team. We actually call ourselves Team Frey. Deciding to start my own company is a big friggin' deal. So I had to include his input, which was really important to me. And as we discussed it, he was hoping that I would wait until my oldest daughter, Aubrey, went to kindergarten, which was 2 more years than I had initially hoped. That damn garden needed a lot of watering. I thought, okay, I can do that. I can wait, since that's what's best for Team Frey. So then I started thinking, what else can I do while I'm working my corporate gig to get ready? I wanted to get my business ready to go so that when I was ready to launch, I had everything in place to launch, and that's what I did. I met with one of my best friends, Stacy, who started her own recruiting firm, True Talent Group. She is extremely successful. One of my idols, has been in business for years. I met with her to pick her brain, and she shared everything that she did to get her business plan in place. She showed me a business plan, talked about legal stuff, talked about accounting. She literally walked me through every single thing that she did, which was so helpful to me. Then I gathered a group of people together for dinner on me, and we had a business naming party. It was such a blast. I had huge poster sheets of paper on the wall. It was a blast. And yes, I did this while I still worked at Target. These people knew that they had to keep it under wraps, and anything said about my company was locked in the vault just between us. All of these steps that I was taking kept me motivated on my long-term vision, owning my own company. I did all of this while I was continuing to work at Target. It was super important to me that while I was working at Target, I would be the best recruiter I could be, to stand out amongst people, to build the most exceptional relationships with people, because in recruiting, it's all about connections, relationships, and reputation. So when I think back to how I stayed motivated being the best employee at Target while adding as much value as I could, even though I had this other plan that no one knew about, at work anyway, it was because I continuously saw my vision of me owning and starting Talent Q. And that kept my fire inside burning because I had the goal and I knew it was going to happen. I truly believed it. The fuel to keep the fire in my belly going was my why. Why I wanted to start my own business. Why was I willing to risk everything and give up a stable salary? My why involved so many things for me. It involved making an impact in the world, starting something that was my vision, my creation, creating a better way to recruit and partner with corporations, the ability to make unlimited income and never having to report to anyone again in my life. So for me, in there were so many politics at Target. I didn't want other people to be in control of my career progression. And you know they are. They get together, talk about their teams, discuss who's on the docket for promotion, why this person should get promoted, why this person shouldn't get promoted. All the chess playing behind closed doors. Gross. I'm a straight shooter, so I always believed that my results would get me promoted. But at the end of the day, it was all about politics. I was so naive. I never let that stand in my way, though, especially the time I've shared before, a few episodes back, where I was expecting to get promoted to an executive recruiter position. I tell you this whole story in the episode titled, "So You Got Passed Up for a Promotion? Now What?" Well, I didn't get promoted. So I went straight to my boss and said, "You need to talk me off the ledge." Then magically, the following week, an executive recruiter position was opened internally. To make a long story short, I had to interview for this new position that opened up. I had to take all the assessments again, just like I did when I first started at Target. And this was a promotion. It was a process, but you know what? I have zero regrets. The other people who got promoted, they didn't have to interview for their promotions. Nope. They were selected by the puppet masters. I had to interview, do all the assessments, and yes, I earned it on my own merit, which felt dynamite to me. I earned my promotion. All I needed to do was have patience and wait until my daughter was in kindergarten. During this waiting period, when I was gardener Renee, watering my garden, I would take time and work on my business periodically. So once I had my actual business plan in place and the actual documents done, it was 2013. And if you want to find a business plan template, check out spa.org. It's the Small Business Administration. And for those of you who are interested in starting your own business, there are loads of free information on their website. Their website is sba.gov. Remember, my initial plan was to stay at Target for 5 years because I thought if I got to see that corporation for 5 years, that would be a good amount. And yes, Team Frey needed me to stay 7 years, which, to be honest, worked out for the best for me. I'm so glad I stayed 2 more years because those last 2 years is when I was on what Target used to call the term SWAT team. And we were the most experienced recruiters, and we would bounce in and out of areas that had really difficult to fill positions, like needle in a haystack positions, or if they had extreme volume spikes of openings, we would jump in, fill those jobs, And if there was a recruiter that was responsible for recruiting in that area, we would mentor them throughout the whole process. And then we'd bounce to another area and another area. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it because of the variety, because I can recruit for anything. Target taught me that. It's all about just asking the right questions from whoever is hiring to make sure you know the parameters and you actually listen and you actually understand and know what they're telling you. I am such a curious person. I love learning about people, what they do in their function, what they actually do on the job. It's just incredible. I find it so fascinating. I just love everything about it because I'm such a curious person and I love hearing about different roles that people play within an organization. At the beginning, when I first started my business plan, I was super excited to dive in and was taking more time, more frequently to work on my business. I didn't have anything formally scheduled out on my calendar, but I would definitely focus on it a lot because I was so excited. Then a few years later, once I got closer to getting ready to launch and start my business, that's when I was working on it almost every single day. I was making sure the website was ready to go. I was making sure I had a logo, the branding, the business cards, all the stuff that I needed to start the company. And this was roughly a 5-year period of time. My desire, the fire inside me, kept burning high. That's how I trusted in myself and knew this is exactly what I was meant to do. So now I want to bring you all back to all of you listening. What if you don't have a desire to start your own business? That's totally cool. This episode is not about everyone needing to be an entrepreneur. What this episode is about, though, is taking action on whatever goal it is that you have in your mind. If you can see it and envision it, it is possible. Your mind is just waiting for you to make a decision. Make a decision on something that you want in your life. Then, F the how for now. Your mind is doing the fun part of seeing how awesome it'll be once that goal is reached and how amazing you'll feel. But your responsibility is to physically accomplish steps daily to reach that vision your mind sees. I promise, once you get started, the how will show up. It always does. That's why we can F it for now. So many people get discouraged when they get off track for a day, a week, a month. So what? Get back on the track. Are you worried what people will think? Don't ever mind what people are thinking because the truth is you'll never know what they're thinking. And guess what? They're more concerned about themselves anyway. They're not concerned about you. This is your life, not theirs. So get rid of caring what people think. Are you worried about disappointing yourself? Because if that's the case, you'll disappoint yourself even more if you never do anything or stay stuck in procrastination. Think about how much worse that is. You're mad at yourself that you got off track, so instead you do nothing? Wouldn't you rather face yourself and say, guess what? I got off track for a second, but I'm back, baby. That is so powerful. You have to find ways to keep a fire lit inside of you so that if it blows out for a little bit, you know how to relight the damn thing. And how do you do that, my friends? You do it by knowing your why. You write down your why and you remind yourself of it every day. Why do I want this? What will it do for me? How will it make my life better? This is how you keep that fire lit. And if you start to doubt yourself, look to other people for evidence that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Look to a celebrity. Look to a business owner. Look to a friend. Look to a neighbor. Look to a colleague. Use them as evidence. If they have achieved something that you want to achieve, if it's possible for them, it is also possible for you. So the key points from today's episode are: consistent follow through will always produce bigger results. Keeping the fire of motivation alive involves reminding yourself of your why statement daily. To successfully accomplish a goal, you need to first envision it and see yourself achieving it. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Share this episode with someone you love and go make one change to be better than you were yesterday. Live your life with intention. I believe in you. I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible. So if you would, please hit the follow button so we can grow our community of conscious professionals. Whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can find the button at the top of the page. See you next week. Cheers, everyone. Hey everyone, Renee here again. I'm popping on to share one last thing with all of you. If you didn't know already, the waitlist for my brand new program called Focus has been open for a couple of weeks now. And it already brings me so much joy that I see you guys taking action and hopping on the waitlist. If you haven't heard me talk about it enough already, finding a new job sucks. And it's a really long process that most people let drag on and on because they just don't know the right way to go about it. They're throwing their resume at every job they see online, but they're not getting any results. No interviews, no job offers, nothing. So instead of wasting time because you're unsure of where to start your job search, let this program be a proven guide to direct you exactly where you need to be. I've been on the other side, and I know exactly what it takes to get you hired at a company. So what are you waiting for? Hop on that wait list. Grab the link in the show notes of this episode.